All right, so let's take you live here now. The Electricity Minister, Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, currently briefing the media on the latest regarding the national grid. Let's go live there now.
In May, the baseline was 31,125, 35 megawatts. Now, as I speak to you, the PM peak forecast, the average for the week that was approximately 29,000 megawatts. And that's what allows us, the fact that demand is coming down is giving us that degree of room for us to be able to ramp up planned maintenance. And then the unit at risk, and this is what Mr. Nxumalo is addressing with regards to planned maintenance. He's got an appreciation of the units that are likely going to fail if certain action is not taken. And that's why we are making every effort that we take out those units as part of our planned maintenance to ensure that we reduce the amount of megawatts that are at risk. Because when we say are at risk, it means that at any time we might lose these units. So we take them out before they go out on their own. We fix them. Of course, there's a degree of planning that Mr. Nxumalo and the team must do, ensure that the people with the right skills are available, ensure that the equipment that will be necessary, the components, that the replacement components are available at the workshop. There's no long lead time in relation to procuring of those. They procure them once it's ready, is able to take them out. And that's why our intention is to ensure that we reduce the amount of the units that are at risk. The one area that the team continues to improve is on the areas of outage slips, the degree to which we are able to meet our promise of retaining the unit at a particular period of time. Remember that when we entered the baseline of May, we had outage slips of about 3,478 megawatts. So we'll say to the country that unit X, unit Y at this power station is going to come back on this date, and we fail to fulfill our promise to the country, and therefore we have to do some correction in relation to the intensity of load shedding, revise our projection, because the units we're expecting to come on stream are not coming on stream at the time that we had targeted. But what the team has done, led by Mr. Nxumalo and the collective of the leadership as ESCOM, is to improve our planning ability, and therefore we're bringing down, if you like, those outage slips, and we're averaging 1,226 from the 3,478 megawatts. We hit a low of about 766, so that's a target we have set ourselves, and Mr. Nxumalo and the team, I know they're doing everything possible to ensure that we're able to address and meet that promise. Again, as I conclude, now, as I speak to you, of course, the average available capacity for the week was about 25,000 megawatts. But because we have retained these additional units that had failed on their own, now when we were on Friday, the available capacity was at 27,000 megawatts. As we retain the units at Duva, Camden, and Hendrina, we are going to lift that available capacity. Hence, our confidence in relation to the outlook for the week. The one area that I said will not compromise on, it's important that we do this. We accept that there's an inherent risk. It's a calculated risk that we are taking, is to ensure that we do not relent on planned maintenance. We have to fix these units to ensure that they give us the megawatts that are desirable going into the future, undermine, if you like, the size of the units at risk, make sure that when we speak to you and say that we are getting towards ending this challenge of load shedding, we speak with a degree of confidence, because we have invested both the resources in the form of money, because that's what it takes, skills and time to ensure that we are able to retain these units. Of course, we are sitting at 5,474 relative to the baseline of May of about 3,000, relative to the period of winter, June, July, which we're sitting at about 25,000 megawatts. So essentially we have doubled, more than doubled, 2,500 megawatts, I'm sorry. We have more than doubled that planned maintenance, and now we're sitting at 5,474. I really need to make this point. It can't be overemphasized. We are going to do things the right way. We are going to fix these units. We are going to place to good use the fiscal support that has been given to us by National Treasury. Like I said, the short-term pain, but long-term gain. And of course, the issues around the unplanned capacity loss factor, something that is out of our control. But the more we exert ourselves, the more we invest a lot of time and resources on planned maintenance, the greater our ability to undermine the rise in the unplanned capacity loss factor, because it's a function of, amongst others, the degree to which we have not done planned maintenance, and that's why these units are failing on their own as we speak, but we're confident going forward. So as I conclude, before we take questions, is that we do make the point that Kusile sits on the critical path. It gives us a path to ending load shedding. And that's why it's important that when we provide you, we'll give you an extensive brief next week Sunday, but tomorrow we're at Kusile and we have invited you to come and share with you the kind of progress that we're making, and so that you also have an appreciation. Seeing is believing, to see that we're making the kind of progress that we had promised to make. And in fact, I'm confident that Mr. Ngumalo and the team are even exceeding those targets. But let's wait for tomorrow once we get that formal briefing, and we should be in a position to make the formal announcement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the insightful and detailed updates. It brings us to our media question and answer session, where we will start with the journalists that are in-house, and it will be followed by questions that have been sent to the GCIS Media Updates group, WhatsApp group that is. The Minister, as he's indicated, is joined by Mr. Ngumalo, who is the head of generation at Eskom. We also have Mr. Silas Zimu, the advisor in the Ministry of Electricity. We also have Ms. Daphne Mokoena from Eskom. We joined also and supported by the acting CEO at GCIS. By a show of hands, can we proceed with the question and answer session? Can you kindly please, upon taking the microphone, introduce yourself and the media house that you represent? I see 2 hands. 3.
Thank you, Auntie Slowett from Rapport. Minister, we've heard for many years that maintenance will be increased, that maintenance is priority number 1. And then when you don't see an increase in performance, we were told that the quality of maintenance was not up to standard. Now, the slips have improved. Can you give us an indication whether there are still units that break down shortly after maintenance where you would have expected not to break down? And then just on Kusile, with the collapse of those chimneys, what consequence management has been done with regard to the causes for that collapse? Because it has been alleged that management was warned about that. If you could inform us about that, thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the next question.
It's Heidi Jacobs from ENCA. Minister, I just want to ask you, there's been reports about Mozambique wanting to know why Eskom has not moved on the 100 megawatts powered off in South Africa 3 months ago. Could you just give us an update on that? And then Eskom released a statement, I think it was 2 days ago, about those that were arrested at Kusile. I'm just curious to know the role of the SANDF at Kusile, if people are still doing what they are doing. And then the next question is, Eskom still doesn't have a CEO. What's the progress on the appointment of that? Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Good morning, my name is Kgosientsho from the SABC. I just wanted to find out about the integrated resource plan. The Minister said he'll give us a little bit of an update in terms of where are we, where that rollout of that plan 2023 is concerned. And also just looking at the fiscal support that you said you're getting from National Treasury, can you please just expand on that, if you're going to be needing more of that support, just as you push to ramp up just maintenance at some of these power stations? And also just, it touches on what Heidi just asked there about Kusile. and the arrest yesterday, your trip to that power station tomorrow, are you going to be more or less getting further update in terms of what is happening there? Is there a particular syndicate that you're picking up that has been operating within Kgosientsho? As you say that Kgosientsho is really one of the critical stations towards your path to the ending of load shedding. Thank you.
Thank you, Katlego. After this round of responses, we'll then proceed to Takalani. Should we proceed? Takalani, do we have questions on the GCIS Media Updates Group?
Thanks, Takani. We do have a couple of questions. Maybe I may need your guidance. I think I have close to 10. Then you can guide me as to how many we can take this round.
Okay, we'll take 5 for this particular round, and then we'll come back to the other 5 for the next round.
All right, thank you. The first one is coming from Kgosientsho from EE Business Intelligence. The question is, Car Power Ship Management has indicated that they have not yet received any request to change the term of the car power ship contract period from 20 years to 3 to 5 years. Has the IPP office made this request to Car Power Ship yet? And Helmo Bruce from Independent Media. The question is, will plant maintenance be reduced this week due to the expected cold snap? And Arisha from Network 24. The Springboks are playing their opening match in the World Cup tonight. And the question is there any chance that load shedding will be suspended for this and other Springbok World Cup games? And there's a question from Kgosientsho again. The question is, has any extra megawatts been received from car power ship in Mozambique yet, and or from other sources in Mozambique? And still from Kgosientsho, has the interim and or final report from the International Consortium of Consultants been received by ESCOM and National Treasury yet? And will this report be released to energy analysts, the media and or the public? And what should be the last for this round is from Terence Kramer from Engineering News. And the question is, did ESCOM sustain planned outages of 2,500 megawatts during the past winter? Or is it ramping up maintenance so aggressively because that target was not achieved? And what is the year-on-year EAF comparison for the coal fleet only? Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues and Takalani. Mr. Nxumalo will take the podium to answer some of the questions. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Just to kickstart with the questions from the ENCA, maybe that one, the issue of the energy from Mozambique, I think we did issue the statement as well during the week, is that that power has not flown in as yet. Obviously, within ESCOM, as you would know, as a state entity, there is a process that needs to be followed. That process is still being followed, and the team within our transmission who are dealing with that import, they are working with that process, and then we will come and announce once it's finalized. And then there was also from Antoinette, you mentioned the fact that we always talk about an increase in maintenance, but the performance is not following that. I think I need to explain that in this fashion. I think if you will recall, I think the minister rightfully pointed to Kgosientsho. And then it also talked to the question from Terence that is asked later as well to say, what has been the EAF year on year? If you would compare that for this first quarter of this financial year, it will not be a fair comparison. So you will have to remove Kusile from last year, and then you will have to and plus Kubek. If you recall, we said Kusile and Kubek, they've taken about 3,000 megawatt from the system this year. So that is primarily one of the biggest contributor for EAF being down. I mean, we know the issues at Kusile, what happened with the 3 units, and then also with the delay on the unit number 5 as well. So that is what has compromised the recovery that we should be seeing, from this winter. Hence, the minister rightfully said that Kusile is critical. Kubek, we don't mention it because Kubek is going to be a straight swap. So again, if you know Kubek being above 900 megawatt station, with that off of the system, then it takes a lot, plus another 720 sent out at Kusile or 800. It takes a big chunk of our EAF away from the system. So that is the issue, that the comparison on 1:1 it becomes a bit difficult. So Kubeka indicated that it's going to be a straight swap. So we're not going to see any contribution, although we have now replaced the steam generators at Kubek, which was a major outages, but we still need to go to the second unit. Only after the second unit is back, then Kubek will go back to the normal cycle. I think you also asked a question about consequence management at Kusile. Look, we are finalizing the reports. The first internal report has been finalized. There is another report that we have commissioned that we are looking at that. And then I also want to remind the public that at Kusile, although we have we indicated that we will bring those units with a temporary stack. So the main stacks we are still also only getting now after it's been being stabilized, so that we can get access. So until we have the whole picture of what is happening, so that processes, we will follow those processes. So definitely we will deal with whatever comes from that process. And then there was also from Haiti the issue about the role of SNDF at Kusile with the current arrest. I think on this one, I want to start by also thanking our police services working together with our security teams. Remember the SNADF, they are there just to protect the additional cover, but the police investigations and our security internal, I think they've done a good job to really continue to work together to deal with these remnants of people that are really undermining our effort to improve the performance. So I want to acknowledge and congratulate the police for the good work and also our security teams for arresting those individuals within Kusile, because I think it sends the right messages that the police are on the ground, so as security forces, that the people that continue to really undermine us, because those are the things that set us back. So we are quite happy that there has been some of those breakthroughs, and I think it's sending the right messages as well. Minister, the issue of the CEO, I will leave that one to you. And then Katlego, yeah, the arrest, I just talked to it as well, to say, obviously it just happened now. It's within the police structures now. So at Kusile, tomorrow we will definitely give an update, because Kusile is critical for our recovery. Because apart from the 3 units, we've also got another unit. So at Kusile, as we speak now, even the unit that has been running, given the experience we have got from the other, we've taken another additional precautions that we will intervene timelessly to check what is happening. So we have taken down Unit 4 as well to do the proper inspection on the absorbers, as a proper due diligence. Minister said we will take a short-term pains, but we will not again compromise the structures for for this plant. So Kusile, as we speak now, we will be in the next 3 months be bringing 5 units on load, including the one that has been running. So the plans are in place. We have got teams there. Together with the good thing with Kusile is that because it's still within the build program, our main contractor partners, they are still on site. So we have assembled a team, including of ESCOM team, plus our contractor partners to make sure that we really bring the machines as soon as possible. So we will also touch on those ones tomorrow once we have briefed the minister. Okay, the car power chief minister will leave those ones to you. Yeah, I think there was an issue whether the plant maintenance will reduce with the cold snap. No, the maintenance is planned now because it's not something that, although we do reviews day to day, but the plant maintenance, most of the units are already off now. So it's not going to be easy to bring them back and deal with whatever happening as well. And then so is the question of the World Cup. We would want to have a zero load shedding because we all want to see the Springboks play. But yeah, unfortunately, the system would not allow us to suspend the load shedding, unfortunately. So, but we are quite happy that at least we are not as bad as it was last week, and we want to continue on that trajectory of reducing it. The issue of Mozambique, I think I will leave those ones to the minister. Yeah, I did speak on Terence on the issue of year-on-year comparisons to say, if we have to do that, we will have to remove Quebec and Kusile units, then we can do that. I think if we do that, you will notice that the year-on-year on those bases, this is much better actually than that. I think that legacy of having this 3,000 megawatt constantly, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, it built from that. Whereas last year, you were starting on the lower base, and then it was including those issues. Yeah, Minister, I will stop there.
No, thank you very much, Peggy. Just on the issue of the import of the 100 megawatts from Mozambique. So like I said, myself and my counterpart have agreed on that. And then ESCOM had to run its own internal process because there's still a governance framework there. The DMRE is fine, the DP is fine with that process. We have to tick all of these boxes. National Treasury is okay and NERSA is okay. The transmission board is the one that's outstanding, and also the ESCOM board, and then we should have that benefit. But I must say that also the transmission side of ESCOM, they also did make an offer that whilst we are waiting for the internal process to be exhausted, you can create a dispensation. We can buy that 100 megawatts from the South African power pool program. Power pool rather. That's one of the things that has been put forward as an immediate opportunity. But to your point, the ESCOM internal process is far advanced, and we are confident that we should be in a position to benefit from that. And Heidi, on the issue again on the arrests, so SANDAF, if you come to think of it, really is a protection of the assets, the physical asset and the safety of the employees there. The part that the ESCOM was referring to and what Mr. Numal was referring to, the work that has been done to nab the cartel, disrupt and undermine it, really it's intelligence driven. I did indicate that we've got work stream number 6 that is supporting us at NICOM, and that's the work stream that is doing that work together with the ESCOM management and the ESCOM team. They're the ones who are really leading that effort. But the SANDAF really is not in a position to determine whether this is good quality coal or not. They are not trained to do that. It's just about the physical safety of the asset and the physical safety of the employees, and undermine any potential for disruption at the national key point. But on the underlying issues that are below the surface, really it's intelligence driven. It requires a substantive amount of specialized skills to do that, and hence our appreciation at the work that is done by ESCOM and also the team at the workstream number 6. On the CEO, I'll keep on repeating it. It's a domain of DPE. At the right time, Minister Godan will make that determination. Of course, first is the board. The board is the one that appoints, and then they will seek concurrence. So I'll leave that to the colleagues there. I will not enter into a domain that does not belong to me. So we have achieved the levels of cordiality working together. I'll stick on the generation side. What are we doing to get these units performing? Of course, I do accept that the issues of leadership have got a relationship to our ability to respond to this challenge. I mean, you can see now the kind of progress we've been registering is largely as a result of the stewardship of the board and the appointment of Mr. Numa. And to Katlawo's question, I did indicate that when the powers were assigned to us, the issues of the revision of the Integrated Resource Plan 2019 was already underway, led by DMRE. So what we have chosen to do is not to disrupt a process that is already underway. And of course, Minister Mantashe has made it announced publicly that before the end of September, the IRP should be out for public comment. So we really hope that it will be out. And I know I have an engagement with him during the course of the week just to confirm that it's important that we were able to go out, get these comments so that there's certainty, if you like, on the energy mix in the country. And when we make determinations, really should be within the parameters of the IRP. Of course, we can still make them emergency determinations even outside that, but it's desirable that is governed by a framework, and the IRP provides that framework. On the issues of fiscal support, yes, that fiscal support was very explicit. You must ensure that you get to direct investments on maintenance so that we are able to improve the performance of these units. And of course, once that fiscal support is given, it's the ESCOM board that then makes a determination on the distribution of that support. And of course, Mr. Numalo has benefited as the head of generation from this fiscal support, and that's why we are able to make the amount of investments that we are making to be able to get the units performing. I did make the point that Tutuka has been operating on one unit for a considerable period of time, and it was largely as a result of the resources not being available, and the resources, both money and the kind of skills that is required. And Mr. Numalo, the appointment of the GM and the support team and the embedded team at Kusile, and the resources that is, the money that is coming through this fiscal support, has made it possible for us to be able to retain 3 additional units. And as I speak to you, we're operating on 4 units. On Kusile tomorrow syndicates, I'm not qualified to look after, to hunt the syndicates. We are not qualified to do that. That's why we've got that workstream number 6. As and when they make the progress, what ESCOM announced is a function of that work. So it's important that we remain in our lane, the areas of competency, and to the extent that the team are able to uncover, disrupt these cartels, we do welcome it, because it's got a direct correlation on the performance of the units. It's got a correlation on the return on investments that we are making, and that's why we have to take a whole approach on the resolution of this problem. But of course, generation is a significant part of that. On the issues of the car powership, whether there has been increased contact with car powership by the IPP office, I did make the point. Again, I stay in my lane. The procurement sits with the colleagues at the IPP office. Whether they've made contact or not, I wouldn't know, but all we know is that that process has to come to an end at some point. I mean, it can't be an open-ended process. And remember, when we entered into this, it was an emergency procurement. We are 3 years into the life of that exercise. We are not seeing the megawatts, and that's why the conversation with Minister Mantashe and my peers is to say that what are the options? I mean, if there is no indication that this procurement process will come to its logical conclusion, and for us that logical conclusion must include, amongst others, the fact that we will have certainty on benefiting from additional generating capacity. Then we have ideas on what should constitute the next options. Because also with Kusile being on the part of the pathway to ending load shedding, it still won't be sufficient to ensure that there's energy security in the country. So it's important that we find new generating sources before we go into the next cycle of winter. Otherwise, we'll be sitting with a similar problem going forward. We have generated ideas. We know what we want as a ministry, so I just want that there has to be alignment with my peers, of course, so that, I mean, that's how we've been working hitherto, and we really want to maintain that going forward. And then, yeah, I think, like I said, the issues around the car power ship, whether we are generating anything from Mozambique is part of that answer I've given Chris in relation to the finalization of those internal processes. My task, go wherever to ensure that we're able to get these megawatts on stream. Once we're able to confirm that, ESCOM must still run that process. I will not interfere with that process, but the team at ESCOM, starting from the board, they do have an appreciation of the speed that is required so that we're able to relieve the country of this existential problem. On the report that has been commissioned by National Treasury, my engagement with the Minister Kodongwane, they have not yet received that final report, and the assurance he has given to me is that that report will be handed also to us so that we have some reflections on the report. Remember that report was commissioned by National Treasury before the advent of this ministry. And that's why National Treasury took a view that they also have to have a deep dive, a technical appreciation of what are the issues that are obtaining at ESCOM to influence, if you like, the issues of whether there will be future fiscal support that will be required, but most significantly, just to have an appreciation of whether we're able to resolve this structural problem of load shedding. And you know that part of the deterioration of the fiscal matrix in the country is principally as a result of load shedding. So they are an invested party, so they couldn't stand back and watch, and they commissioned that report. Of course, with us being in the space, we were able to lead the charge in responding to what it is required.
Well, we come out of that media briefing by the Electricity Minister giving an update on the situation regarding the national grid, saying that Kusile is quite critical for our recovery in terms of the provision of electricity, and that the improvement of the Kusile power plant, progress is being made there which could help us deal with load shedding.